All right, so imagine this, right? A president just like dictating interest rates.
Oh.
Sounds kind of crazy, right? Straight out of some political thriller or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it might be closer to reality than we think.
Oh, really?
So today we're going to do a deep dive on, Donald Trump's views on, the Federal Reserve,
Okay.
specifically on Jerome Powell, the chair.
Right.
And we've got some excerpts here from this recent interview.
Oh, wow.
With Trump, and let me tell you, it raises some eyebrows, to say the least.
I bet.
Yeah, even maybe some red flags.
I mean, this is definitely, it's an interesting situation, right? It's more than just, a personality clash.
Right.
This goes deeper, right? This gets into this fundamental concept, right, of modern economics. It's this idea of, central bank independence.
Right.
And what happens, when that independence is challenged?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the $1 million question, literally.
That's the question. Okay, so let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
Like back to 2018.
Okay, yeah.
Remember when, Trump and he's not known for holding back his opinions or anything.
No, not really.
Publicly criticized, the Fed chair, like the guy that he himself had appointed just a year earlier.
Yeah. It was a wild time.
Yeah. And not even just like any criticism. This was like threats to fire Powell.
Yeah, I remember that.
Even though, most of the experts were saying he couldn't even legally do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what really got everybody, kind of worried, right? Because, this is a situation where, you see, the Fed it's designed to be independent
Right.
Of political pressure, right? So it makes decisions based on data,
Right.
not on, who's in the Oval Office and what they think should happen, right? So this independence is really important because it prevents, interest rates being like manipulated, right? For political gain, like trying to, juice the economy right before an election or something like that.
So like why is that a big deal?
Well, okay, so think about this. Let's say, a president pressures the Fed to just lower interest rates.
Right.
Artificially.
Okay.
Right. So in the short term, like everything looks great.
Right.
Businesses borrow more, people are spending more, the economy looks like it's booming, right?
Right.
But, and this is big but, it's like building a house of cards.
Oh.
Because eventually that kind of manipulation, it can lead to inflation, where your money just buys less and less.
Right.
Or even worse, like a financial crisis, right? Where, banks are collapsing and the whole system just goes haywire.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's not a pretty picture.
Yeah.
So fast forward to today, Trump's back in the political arena, and his comments about Powell and the whole idea of the Fed's independence are, interesting.
Oh, for sure. For sure. On one hand, he said, he wouldn't try to replace Powell before his term's up in 2026.
Right.
Right. But then he's also, kind of hinted that Powell would just, resign, quote, if I told him to.
Wow.
Right. But then also he said, quote, he probably wouldn't, if he was just asked.
Wow.
So there's this ambiguity there that's a little concerning, right? Because it sounds like he's thinking about undue influence.
Yeah, no, and it's not just like these kind of vague hints.
Right.
He's said, pretty openly that the president should, have a say in interest rate decisions. He even compared like the Fed's whole decision-making process to flipping a coin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty troubling statement.
Right.
Because it's like saying these really crucial economic decisions, that they should just be made on a whim, instead of like, really careful analysis.
Right.
And that just undermines, the whole foundation of a stable, financial system. It's like saying, hey, let's just roll the dice with the entire U.S. economy, you know? Not exactly confidence inspiring.
No, not at all. So what does this all mean for the average person just trying to like navigate this crazy, complex financial world?
Yeah, well, for one thing, these kinds of comments can create a lot of uncertainty in the markets. Investors, they get nervous when they don't know what to expect, right?
Right.
So that can lead to, volatility, and it can harm long-term economic growth.
Okay.
And the stability, that we all rely on for things like, retirement funds, mortgages, even just the prices at the grocery store, that can be jeopardized when the independence of institutions like the Fed is called into question.
Okay. So potentially some big consequences. Now you mentioned, market reactions.
Yeah.
Like what specific impacts could Trump's comments have on things like, investor confidence or the value of the dollar?
Or yeah, good question. Well, uncertainty, uncertainty breeds caution,
Okay.
right? So when investors see this potential for political interference,
Hmm.
right, in a system that's supposed to be based on, objective data,
Right. Yeah.
they might pull back. They get hesitant to invest.
Right.
And so this can, weaken the dollar, make imports more expensive, and it can potentially, fuel inflation.
Right.
It can also spook the stock market, leading to declines that impact everyone, with a 401k or other investments.
Right.
So the impact is pretty broad, when there's that level of uncertainty.
Okay. Yeah. No, I see your point. But let me play devil's advocate for a second. Wouldn't a president, elected by the people, have a legitimate interest in making sure that there's positive, economic outcomes?
Sure, yeah, of course. I mean, a president absolutely has a responsibility to care about the economy.
Right.
But that concern, that should manifest in sound fiscal policies,
Okay.
not in meddling with the Fed's independence.
Gotcha.
Right. So think of the Fed as kind of like a referee for the economy.
Yeah.
They need to be impartial, right?
Right.
They got to make calls based on the rules of the game,
Right.
not based on who's, cheering the loudest from the sidelines.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So wrapping things up,
Yeah.
we've got a former president with a history of, challenging the Fed's independence
Yeah.
and the current Fed chair
Yeah.
that's, very determined to maintain that independence. And the stakes are high. The consequences could be huge for everything,
Yeah.
from market stability to the value of the dollar.
Exactly. And the takeaway here is, central bank independence, this isn't just some like abstract concept for, economists to debate.
Right.
This has real world implications for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's something for you to ponder, as you go about your day.
Okay.
We've explored, Trump's perspective here, but what about the bigger picture? In an increasingly interconnected world,
Right.
with global markets and information just flying around everywhere, can any central bank really be independent?
It's a great question to think about.
Yeah, food for thought, right?
For sure.
Hmm.